Hello everyone, my name is Jarrick and today I'm going to be talking to you guys about something called shallow water blackout, which is also known as the silent killer. The reason why they call it the silent killer is when it happens, you can be right next to your partner and he could have a blackout. You wouldn't hear a thing, you'd see nothing unless you're looking at it. You know, you wouldn't know that he passed away due to a blackout. So I've been spear diving for about 8 years now, and I'm very passionate about spear diving. I enjoy being in the ocean, enjoy catching fish and providing food for my family and friends. One of my friends, I interviewed Chris Funada. He's actually experienced shallow water blackout before. And Chris Funada, he's an official safety diver for free dive competitions. So he's trained in safety practices. He knows the ins and outs with shallow water blackouts. He knows how to handle them. Yet he's experienced a shallow water blackout himself. Chris was telling me his story. He was diving with two of his buddies, and he made a deep drop. He went down to 100 feet. And at 100 feet, the pressure that you feel on your chest feels like someone is sitting on it, so it's very uncomfortable. Yet he pushed further. You know, he is confident in his ability. He went deeper, went down to 130 feet. And it was at that depth he decided he needed to turn around. So he was having a hard time getting back to the surface, and he looked up and he saw that his safety float was in sight, which told him that he was close by to the surface. So immediately after that, he blacked out. That was the last thing he seen before opening his eyes again. He was in his friend's arms, and the friend basically told him that he had blacked out. Chris, admitted that day that if his friends wasn't there to intervene, he would have passed away. Now, this is a good case scenario. I'm going to share with you the worst case. And this is a famous spear fisherman. His name is Gene Higa, national spearfishing champion, legend, well known in the spear fisherman's world, and a huge advocate of the sport. Unfortunately, Gene Higa passed away from shallow water blackout. And this just goes to show that, anybody, doesn't matter your skill level, beginner, professional, anyone is susceptible to a blackout. So I read an article written by Dr. Terry Moss. This is written back in 2006. And it's basically shallow water blackout facts and statistics. I pulled some statistics over here from the United States and the state of Hawaii. So in the United States, there was an estimated 10,000 divers at the time. Every year, 3 people would pass away from shallow water blackout. Then we have the state of Hawaii, a small little island chain, 5,000 divers. But every year, 6 people pass away from shallow water blackouts. That is half the amount of divers with twice the amount of deaths attributed to shallow water blackouts. And I just feel like there's not enough exposure to, shallow water blackouts in our community. It isn't talked about a whole lot. And I just thought this would be a great topic to talk about. So today I'm going to share with you guys 3 points I want you guys to take away from this. The first being, what is a shallow water blackout? Next is prevention techniques, how to prevent a shallow water blackout. And lastly, what to do if you're ever faced with one. So what is a shallow water blackout? It's basically the sudden loss of oxygen to the brain underwater, thus resulting in a blackout. So when a person holds their breath, they decrease the oxygen levels in their body, but they increase the carbon dioxide in their body as well. And it's that increase of the carbon dioxide that causes that burning sensation in the lungs, that urge to breathe. Free divers, they become accustomed to this feeling. They're used to it. So they push further, especially when they're hunting fish. They want to get that good fish, whatever it is. They'll get it. But they went past their limit, and they're more susceptible this way to blacking out because it's, too late at that point. Most of the time, shallow water blackouts occur within 15 feet of the water. This is the norm. Shallow water blackouts can be deadly. So the next thing I'm going to share with you guys is prevention techniques and practices. Now the first one, which I think is the most important, is the buddy system. Never dive alone. Always dive with a partner and use this. It's one up, one down. One person on the surface monitoring his friend who makes his drop throughout the entire dive. Friend gets back up from the bottom, person on the surface meets him halfway to check if everything is okay. And I think this is one of the safest practices, because if ever faced with the blackout, you can respond right away. The second one is do not hyperventilate, which is overbreathe. And what that is, rapid breathing. It's a breathing technique some divers use because they think they get more oxygen, they can hold their breath longer. Really what it does is it just gets rid of the carbon dioxide in the body, but the oxygen levels stay the same. So they feel comfortable when they're on the bottom, but that response, that urge is delayed. By the time it comes on, it's already too late, and they can black out. So these are some prevention practices. Do not hyperventilate, buddy system. Now what to do? What do you do if you're ever faced with a shallow water blackout? Well, one technique is called the do-si-do technique. And I'm going to need a volunteer, which I'm called Mana. This is the closest one. The do-si-do technique is like the dance. And if your partner blacks out and you're right there, stay calm and react quickly, immediately. You get your hand underneath the person's armpit, and hand on the nape of the neck. Other hand is going to grab wetsuit, weight belt, shorts, whatever you can grab, and you're going to raise up while tilting the head back until you get them to the surface. At this point, you pull out the snorkel, take off the goggles. You may drop the weight belt if necessary, if it's too heavy. That'll help them float better on the surface. And at this point, you're going to do something called the blow, tap, talk. So you're going to blow in the person's eyelids, you're going to tap the person's face, and you're going to say their name. At that point, after you do all three of those things, the person should recover from their shallow water blackout. Thank you, Mana. And once you recover, head to shore immediately and seek medical attention if needed. I've talked to you guys about what a shallow water blackout is. I also shared what to do if ever faced with a blackout and some prevention practices. Now, I encourage you guys, to share this with all of your free dive friends, anybody who likes to swim. Share it, spread the news, because I feel like there's not enough exposure. We're losing way too much people's lives to something like this. It's almost like involuntary suicide every time a person goes out diving, not knowing what a shallow water blackout is. Just want to say thank you guys for being here and listening to me, and aloha.